Good day, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome, everyone. It is Friday, and in fact, it is the first Friday of the month of December. And what we do on the first Friday of each month is Family First Friday. So today we're talking family, and some months ago, we uh, we started talking about marriage. Sorry, I got distracted here. And people encouraged me to keep talking about marriage, so we are going to continue to do that. And for any of you who may have jumped on here and missed the first several here, my wife and I, years ago, when we used to travel around some and do some marriage conferences and that kind of thing, we created this picture of marriage that we call the marriage mansion. And the idea was, if your marriage were a house, what kind of house would you want it to be? And of course, the right answer is a mansion, right? Who doesn't want to live in a mansion? Now you can tell me it's too many rooms. I want to clean it all over, but you know what I mean. And so we described a thriving, pleasurable, wonderful marriage as a mansion. But to build that mansion, you need to lay 4 foundation stones. And if you do these 4, if you have these 4 foundational stones in place, then you can really build the mansion and have a great marriage. So that's what we've been talking about. We covered the parental stone, the financial stone, and the sexual stone. And today we're going to talk about the 4th and final stone. We'll get back to that in a minute. But think about this. If you and your spouse were working together consistently in parenting, and you were raising your children well, and again, you and your spouse are on the same page, and you're devoted to this, and your kids are turning out great, that helps have a great marriage. If you have your finances where they are prospering, where you are devoted together to doing what it takes to save, to curb spending, to invest, and you're both really pursuing this together, and you know what you're trying to accomplish, and you are working toward that goal together, that eliminates so much of the temptations that we have in marriage. And then the third stone that we've talked about, sexual stone, if you're having wonderful, regular, frequent, thriving, enjoyable, and pleasurable sex together, so you've got great kids, great finances, great sex. Those are 3 of the building blocks that you need. To put it the other way, when you're parenting, when your kids are causing you all kinds of strife, when your finances are causing all kinds of challenges, and when you're unhappy with your sexual relationship, then you don't have a great marriage, right? So the question is, what prevents us from really getting those 3 areas into a place not just of surviving, but thriving? The answer to that question is one word. So, do you know the only marriage problem? There's only one. There's only one marriage problem, and it is not communication. So if you're getting ready to type communication, or if you're driving along later listening to this via podcast and you started to say communication, nope, you've been listening to the wrong folks. Now that's common. That's the common response in therapy and counseling and seminars, conferences. Communication. Nope, that is not your problem. It never is. I'm going to give another shameless plug here. So I wrote this book years ago called God's Design for Marriage. This is the blue one, and you notice right here it says premarital edition. If you know someone getting engaged for Christmas, can I encourage you to get them this book? It's intended to be premarital counseling in a book. Ideally, they walk through premarital counseling with an older, wiser couple who've been down the road and who have a great marriage. It's amazing to me how many people seek out premarital counseling from people who don't have a great marriage. They just, for whatever reason, think, oh, these people offered, so we'll do that. No, you should evaluate their marriage, and they need to have a couple decades under their belt of really great marriage, it seems to me. But anyway, so more people get engaged at Christmas time than any other time of the year. So you probably know somebody that's getting engaged. So there's a link in the show notes. Shameless plug, buy the book. If you are married but haven't gone through this, there's a red version, which I don't have on hand, or I'd pull it up. It's just like this, only it's red. And instead of premarital edition, it says married edition. And it's designed for you and your spouse to go through together. This could be a great Christmas gift for your spouse, and the two of you commit to going through it together. You'll have some good discussion. Anyway, one of the chapters in the book is the only marriage problem, and it is not communication. What is it? It's sin. Your sin. Not some objective, external, abstract concept of sin. No, it's your sin. The reason your marriage is not better, or the reason there are problems in your marriage, is because of your sin. We have to own that. And I'm tempted to say the only sin worth talking about is selfishness. Whatever the thing that is preventing your marriage from being that mansion I talk about and thriving is one or both of you is being selfish. That's it. The bad news is none of us like to be told that. We want to think it's him or her, it's our circumstances, it's our poor examples we had in our parents, it's whatever, right? We just pile on the excuses for why our marriage is not better. And none of those things are true, and none of those things are the problem. But we feel better, and we justify our failure by putting the blame somewhere else. So that's the bad news. The good news is, if my sin and my selfishness is the biggest problem on my marriage, I can change that. You know what I'm talking about? If you are the problem in your marriage, you can change you. You can't change your upbringing. You can't change the example you saw in your parents. There are many circumstances, many things that have impacted your marriage that you can't control, you can't change, you can't go back and do it differently, but you can change you. And I'm here to tell you, your marriage can be amazing. Because you are the answer. You are the solution to the marriage problem, and you can build a great marriage. After over 33 years, I can tell you it can be done. Krista and I have a wonderful marriage. Probably all of you would be thrilled if your marriage was like ours, and I hope many of yours are. Maybe yours is better. It's not really a comparison thing, but what I'm telling you is we have a great marriage. We love being married, and it gets better and better and better. And yours can be wonderful also. It's amazing. I'm sure I've shared this with you before, but it is shocking to me when I have said that over the years, how many Christians get mad at us. I don't know if it's envy. Probably in a lot of cases it is, it exposes that they themselves do not strive to overcome their selfishness and sin, and they don't want anybody else to do that either. I'm sure I told you this. Krista and I wrote a marriage blog for years. 5 days a week, I think we posted. And I remember one wife in particular who continued to beg us to talk about our difficulties and problems. because we committed to pretty much only express the positive things. Not because there weren't any challenges that we faced with each other and so on, but everybody talks about how hard and how awful, how bad their marriage is. But how many people do you know that are willing to say, our marriage is great. Come follow us. Do what we're doing. Yours can be great too. And this woman kept insisting that we acknowledge that there were some weaknesses in our marriage and so on. And she got very upset. And now her marriage is actually completely fallen apart. And she's an exceedingly selfish woman. And I see that's exactly what she wanted. She wanted to drag us down into the pit where she was heading and make herself feel better. Don't be like that. Observe great marriages, be thankful for them, and strive to improve your own. So anyway, I say all this to say, after over 3 decades, my wife and I love each other. We love our marriage. We have a marriage mansion. And I don't say that to boast. I say that to tell you, you can too. We're not exceptional people. We're not lucky. We've just done it the way God tells us to do it. And yes, of course, there have been failures and shortcomings, and we both have sinned, but we have repented, and we keep short accounts and all those things. So anyway, I hope that is encouraging to you. That's the intent here. All right, so I feel like I have to say that regularly so that people. Some of you are going to be like the woman I was describing. You're going to be envious, or you're going to, dismiss what I'm saying and shut me off when it comes to marriage. Some of you, you're going to say, yeah, that resonates, and I'm going to keep pursuing a great marriage because it can be done. All right, so the fourth foundation stone is what I call the spiritual stone. We used to call it the devotional stone, but this is actually a better term. And you know me, I don't like the word spiritual because it has taken on such a amorphous, nebulous meaning, but I mean it in the terms of spirit. The spiritual stone is you and your spouse walking in the Spirit. Look what Paul says, the Spirit creates the fruit that the Spirit bears in Christians. Love. Now, I know you all know this. This is such a popular passage. You probably have it hanging on your wall or on a coffee cup or something. But you realize what Paul is saying here is fruit is what comes from the tree, right? So if the Spirit is the tree, this is the fruit that the Spirit tree produces. The first one mentioned is love. Are you eating from the Spirit tree? If so, well, one of the fruit that you can eat is love and joy and peace and long suffering or patience and kindness and goodness and faithfulness. I think that's better than faith here. And meekness or gentleness and self-control. You see how this comes together? If you and your spouse were continually exhibiting love, joy, peace, patience, kindness, goodness, faithfulness, gentleness, and self-control, what kind of marriage problems would you have? None. Now, you may have obstacles to overcome. Not may have, you will have, and you do have. We all have those. What I mean by marriage problem is now there is conflict between a husband and wife. That is because of selfishness. If you are being selfless and walking in the Spirit, then you are attacking the issues and the true enemies. You're not attacking each other. And when there are challenges and obstacles and external problems, you together are trying to solve those problems rather than seeing the other one as the problem. So that's what I mean when I say sin and selfishness are the only marriage problem. I don't mean you'll never have any troubles in your relationship, but there won't be trouble between the two of you. If you are feeling hurt, I covered this in the book, so I'm just going to sketch it here, but if you are feeling hurt and upset by your spouse, it's because you are being selfish. People fight me on that all the time. I'll just say this. If you feel hurt, who are you thinking about? You're thinking about yourself. Instead of, how do I show grace and love and kindness and so on? All right. So let's bring this somewhat practically. So let's go back to the parental stone. So you have, let's say, young kids. If you are selfish, how does that play out in your parenting? It may be that you're lazy. That's selfish. I don't feel like disciplining my children, teaching and exhorting my children. You neglect them. I'd rather watch football. I'd rather go be involved in some church ministry. Whatever, right? We find excuses. We find reasons to neglect what we ought to be doing. That's just selfish. That is doing what you desire in the moment rather than doing the right thing, which is be a good parent. You can be resentful at each other. You can be very pessimistic, lacking joy and hope, being fearful. Oh, our kids are never going to turn out, or I don't think we have what it takes to raise them well, all those kind of things. A real faithless, fearful perspective. You can be impatient with your spouse. He's not doing it right. She's not doing it right. All of those things are selfish and sinful. But if you're walking in the Spirit, then you're doing what needs to be done. You're denying yourself game night with friends if this night needs to be spent with your children. You get off the couch and go discipline him or her when necessary. And you're encouraging your spouse and commending each other for their parenting and those kind of things. And you're patient. You're patient, long-suffering. You have a plan for how you're going to raise your children, but your spouse is not operating according to that plan. Are you critical? Are you harsh and resentful? Or are you patient, long-suffering, and do you pray? If you've been with us, you know how much, just yesterday, in fact, how often Jesus says, "Oh, ye of little faith," to the disciples. Do you pray for your spouse in the areas where you see there could be some improvement, where maybe they are not following through in the plan? Praying in hope and encouraging and you loving in spite of where you see that they could improve? And waiting on the Lord, seeking the Lord to change them. It doesn't mean you can't have conversations about it, but there's a difference between saying, hey, you know, we had that one meeting, that discussion, and we agreed this is what we were going to do. Uh-oh, that's the way I turn my lights off. And let me see if I can. Hang on, I'm still here. It's bothering me. For those of you on audio, you're like, what's he doing? Oh, I don't know what happened. All right, well, it's just not as colorful back there. Sorry. Anyway, See how easily distracted I can be. Um, I lost what I was saying. Walking in the Spirit, love, joy, peace, patience, and you don't see the parenting as a problem. How about financial? Where are you selfish when it comes to finances? Are you, again, lazy and negligent in having the conversations? We talked through this in the Financial Stone live stream. You need to have a budget, have a plan, be on the same page about where you're going, and so on. And you can become selfish and not have that conversation. Or when you're planning the budget, oh, it's all about me. How come, she wants so much money for, I don't know, home furnishings or whatever, and I want more money for fun, like golf or whatever. And you argue about that. Well, that's just selfish. But if both of you come to say, okay, what is best, not what do I want, but what is right and good and best for our long-term goals and so on. And then you see the other one not sticking to the budget all the time. He didn't even look to see where we at in eating out. He just went and went to Chick-fil-A 3 times, and now he overshot our budget. Should you have a conversation about that? Sure, of course. But what's your attitude? What's your mindset? Do you want to help, or do you want to criticize and speak ill, think ill of your spouse because he or she did not stick to the plan? You see what I'm saying? Selfishness causes us to say things, and it starts with thinking the worst of each other. And then that comes out of our mouth. Our mouth speaks what's in our heart. I'm upset with you. I resent you. I am impatient with you. I'm mad. And now I treat you like it. So this is why communication is not the problem. You can communicate exactly what you're thinking and feeling. You don't need to change the communication. You need to change what you're thinking and feeling. And the Spirit of God bears fruit that can change your heart in these circumstances to love and joy and peace and patience, kindness and goodness and self-control and so on. You see what I'm saying? So if you are striving to be selfless and walk in the Spirit, you're going to be a good parent. And you're going to build a solid foundation financially. How about sexually? Money and sex, right? They're always number one and number two as far as marriage temptations and strife inducers. How much of your frustration with your sex life, so to speak, is because you or your spouse are being selfish? And you should start with yourself. Both of you should be generous. You should have a generous mindset about pursuing and giving yourself sexually to each other. Not tonight, I have a headache. Much of the time that's selfish. Now, there are real physical issues, right? There's serious discomfort, pain that does warrant not having sex today. So I acknowledge that, and the selflessness on the part of the other spouse is to say, of course I don't want to make you feel bad because you have a migraine headache or back pain or whatever. But you know how it is. When we're disgruntled or just lazy, we come up with excuses. I'm too tired. You find time for other things. You know your spouse desires this today, but you don't want to. And you find reasons to get away from it. That's just pure selfishness. Instead of saying, I want to please my spouse, all the time. I'm ready, willing, and able whenever. And there's a stereotype that, women, wives are always the ones saying no and guys are always ready. And there's some truth to that, I think, but I found a lot of husbands are lazy in terms of pursuit. We have been lied to by the culture that women are as vigorous and initiatory as men, and they just simply aren't. And so men are waiting for the wife to give all the signals. Meanwhile, he's not doing anything to be attractive to her. And then he just gets resentful and so on, instead of getting off his rear end and doing the things that are attractive and pursuing her. Like, initiate. Men, you initiate. If you're doing all the other things that we need to be doing as husbands, that is an act of cherishing and love, is to initiate. Don't put it on her. And then porn is just pure selfishness. And it's robbing you and your spouse of what the Lord desires for your sex life to be. If you are walking in the Spirit, then you're not letting those things get in the way. You're doing the hard work. You are keeping yourself fit and looking attractive. And you're not just wasting all of your time watching movies, reading frivolous books, scrolling, doom scrolling as they call it. You're actually doing the things that it takes to be attractive and to build that relationship. And you don't resent your spouse. You praise them and so on. You see the point? All of the other stones, the foundation stones that need to be laid, you will form those stones if you walk in the Spirit and be selfless and gracious. You walk in love and joy and peace. Be a peacemaker with your spouse. And be patient when the other one is not walking in the Spirit. Be kind. Be good. Be faithful and gentle. And all these come down to self-control. Control yourself. You can do it if you're walking in the Spirit. You can control your words and your thoughts. Imagine, if this is not you yet, imagine having a marriage where you both love one another, are kind and gentle and joyful, and you're not fighting, but you're praising and showing grace, and you're self-controlled and you're patient, and you have a financial plan that you're working toward. You have a parental pursuit that you are both engaging in for the good of your kids, and you are pursuing each other and all the things it takes to enjoy great sex. I mean, that sounds pretty good, doesn't it? I can tell you firsthand experience, it's amazing. And when we see that the scripture says marriage is a picture of Christ and the church, the Lord is so good to us and provides us with so much happiness and pleasure and gifts, blessings. And it's just incomparable to imagine. We have purpose. We have the tools we need to succeed in what He's given us to do, and we thrive. Well, your marriage is to be a picture of that, and it can be. Now, many of you have been influenced in Christian circles that reject all of that. Say, no, life is miserable. It is mere survival until Jesus comes back. Everything is awful. It's getting worse every day and every minute. And the fruit of the Spirit passage is really designed just to tell you how wicked you are. You don't love enough. You don't have enough joy. You're not a peacemaker. You're not patient. You're just that miserable wretch. Thankfully, you have the Spirit, but the Spirit's not actually doing anything. These are just to show you the kinds of things that, should be true of you, but they're not. Don't take your eye off the cross because you need forgiveness every day because you're not any of these things. That's the mindset that I see so much in Christianity. And it's wrong. It's the devil's psyop, I call it. No, the Spirit is at work in you, Christian. And you are growing in love, joy, peace, patience, kindness, goodness, self-control, and so on. And you can and should thrive in life because you are married to the King of the universe. Your marriage with you and your spouse should be a reflection of that. And it can be. And it can be glorious and wonderful. It's hard work. Fighting your selfishness is hard work, especially when you give into it. But I'm just telling you from experience and observing others and helping marriages, you can do this. And it's wonderful, and it's worth every moment of the hard work. So I hope that's encouraging to you. I hope it's motivating to you. So here's the key takeaway. Are you willing to accept that in order for your marriage to improve? Now, your marriage may be great, like mine, but it can get better. Are you willing to accept that what needs to change for your marriage to improve from whatever place it is that you become more selfless and you do the things that need to be done? Action and attitude. You do the things that need to be done selflessly, walking in the Spirit. Make time for those discussions on parenting, finances, and so on. Make time to be attractive, to pursue your spouse sexually, to be generous with your body, all those things. Are you willing to do that? If you're not, then you have the marriage you deserve. If you are willing to do that, your marriage can take a huge step forward and you can begin to build that mansion we talk about. All right. I will leave there because my tendency here is just to repeat things, and I will leave it there. Have a great weekend, everybody. Work on your marriage. Work on yourself. And we'll see you back here on Monday to continue with Matthew. Grace and peace to you.